Hello everyone, Lynsie here. So today we're going to do a supported breathing practice. And what I mean by that is that we're going to support the body with a blanket to help open up the chest and free up some tension between the muscles, between the ribs. So these muscles between the ribs are your intercostal muscles. And both the chest muscles and the muscles between the ribs, the intercostals, influence the breath. So if they're tight, it's harder to take a deeper, fuller breath. If they're open and you have some mobility, then it's easier to take deeper, fuller breaths. And I think most of us understand how important and essential the breath is. The more efficient the breath that you're taking, the better you're going to feel, in short. So we want to be able to do whatever we can to support our breathing. So today we're going to use a blanket. So what we're going to do, you're going to take your blanket and you're going to roll it up so that it's at its greatest width. So you don't want to unfold the blanket and do it into a little teeny tiny straw-like roll, but we want a thicker roll here. And what we're going to do is put it seam side down, and we're going to start on your side. So what it's going to look like is you're going to come almost like into a fetal position, the knees bent and stacking, and you're going to place the roll right underneath the armpit for this upper portion of the ribs. You can take your hand to your armpit, and it's right underneath there that we want to place the blanket. Okay, and then you're just going to stack the knees, keep the hips stacked, and then let the head rest on the arm. And then you're going to take your arm that's on your hip and you're going to sweep it up overhead. And keep the elbow bent. Now, what's going to happen more than likely, especially if you're tight in your side body or in your shoulder, you might start to feel yourself dip forward. But see if you can draw that arm in line, the bicep right in line with the ear, maybe even a little bit behind the head, so that the shoulders are stacking, hips are stacking. And then we're going to do a little pranayama here. So we're going to do ujjayi breath. So we're going to breathe in through the nose, a slight contraction of the throat as you breathe in and out. And bring awareness to that portion of the rib cage that is pressing into the roll, this upper portion of the lung, and even partially down to the mid portion of the lung. You can close the eyes if you like, and just focus on the breath. Try to get the breath as even and smooth as possible. And when you breathe in, you can feel the rib cage pressing into the blanket. And when you breathe out, you feel the softening and releasing into the blanket. So try to let go of the resistance that you might feel. And let's do a couple more rounds, breathing in, deep and full. Breathing out, completely releasing all breath. And the longer we hold this, the more benefits there are to reap. So if you want to stay here a little bit longer, feel free. Or if you're ready, you can transition with me to your other side. So what you'll do is just place your hand on the blanket or the floor, just gently pressing yourself up. And before you move to the other side, just take a moment just to notice the difference. It could be very subtle. This is not a deep side bend, but it's as if we're using the foam roller or the blanket as a foam roller to kind of give a little bit of compression for the lower portion of the rib cage. And then taking deeper, fuller breaths into the opposite side of the rib cage. Okay, let's go ahead and switch sides. I'm just going to move my blanket so I can face you. And so now you're going to, again, place the blanket at the upper portion of the rib cage, right underneath the armpit. Use the lower arm as a pillow and take the upper arm, sweep it up overhead. Again, remember that we want the bicep either in line with the ear or behind it. So we're using the blanket, again, as a foam roller of sorts for this lower rib cage. And then we take the upper arm over the head to spread the muscles between the upper rib cage. And so we'll take several rounds of breath here. Remember, it's ujjayi. Smooth breath in. Smooth breath out. And anytime we do ujjayi breath, whether we're doing it for a full length asana practice or just a few moments in the morning, we're automatically breathing with more intention, more efficiently, oxygenating the body and clarifying the mind. Okay, so from here, go ahead, press yourself up to sit. Just take a moment, notice right and left. Again, it's going to be pretty subtle, so we have to be quiet and still to feel the shift. Okay, now we're going to come to your back. We're going to place the blanket between the shoulder blades. And as you do this, the tendency is sometimes to have it so high up, the arms are in front of the roll. We want them behind the roll, okay? And one other thing, sometimes people put the blanket too far down in the lower rib cage, but you want it right up between your wings. And the elbows can come over the roll. And I often like to bend my elbows just to give a little bit so that the shoulders can relax a little bit more. Okay, you can knock the knees in or straighten the legs, or even bring the pads of the feet together, knees wide. But I like to bring my knees together for this because I want it to be the chest and the rib cage to be my focus, not the groin. And so I'm going to stay here just for a few more breaths. You can close the eyes, come back to your ujjayi if you haven't already. As you breathe in, there's an expansion from within as the lungs fill with breath. So just attuning to that expansion of breath. And when you breathe in, you can feel the rib cage spread apart and the chest lift. And a little bit of pressure, the back of the rib cage into the blanket. And when you exhale, aware of how the rib cage starts to contract again as the lungs deflate, and perhaps an even deeper sinking into the blanket. Each breath in and out becomes more even and smooth. Okay, so from here, let's just interlace the hands behind the head. Use the hands as support to curl all the way up to sit. You can even grab behind the legs to help you come up. And just take a pause again. Feel how the chest muscles feel a bit more open. There's a little bit more ease in the breath. And so you can do this as often as you like. It's great to do at the end of the day after you've been sitting at a computer, or we all have kind of bad posture, most of us. So it's a great way to make sure that we're opening up the chest, taking deeper, fuller breaths, and you can stay in it as long as you like. I'd suggest probably at least a minute on each side at the minimum, or even longer. So until next time, my friends, many blessings.